15 seconds to air.
Stand by all cameras. Stand by videotape. Stand by slow-mo.
Stand by to roll videotape in 5.
And roll tape. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take tape.
Minnesota didn't waste much time on the opening drive. Tarkington put 6 points on the board, hitting Steve Craig from 4 yards out. The kick was blocked. With 2 seconds left in the half, Tarkington unloaded a 44-yard bomb that somehow got by Miami's Curtis Johnson and Jake Scott and into the hand of Jim Lash. Even Tarkington couldn't believe it. But it was that kind of a half for the Dolphins. For example, watch Nat Moore try to run his pass pattern only to get bumped right into Coach Shula, who wasn't the least bit amused. After Minnesota went ahead 20-0, Miami finally got on the board with this play, set up by Benny Malone's crushing block, as Norm Bullitt broke one for 53 yards on a 4th and short yardage.
The owners believe that if the owners are going to make commitments to put many millions of dollars into the pension fund, to cover the players with very considerable insurance benefits and other benefits, then for the period of that bargaining agreement, we ought to know what the rules are going to be insofar as player selection, player retention, and player movement. And these are the issues that the union won't agree on. They want the money, but they won't agree to the rules. We believe we've got to have a total agreement.
Did you expect this action by New England?
Well, I wouldn't say we expected it, Brent, but we weren't surprised.
We want to be in support of the Patriots, and we want to get a settlement to this thing. And there's a lot of reaction around the league that maybe a lot of people, the Giants, Rams, Colts, Atlanta, Green Bay, they've all showed support for the Patriots' position. And I just think that they've done a good thing for us, and we wanted to show some kind of a sign that they're not out there alone on that limb. We want it to be known that if the owners keep the Patriots from not playing or keep them locked out, then we would probably strike next week. And this is the issue right now at this point.
Two more teams in the National Football League voted today to strike, joining a protest begun last weekend by the New England Patriots. The issue is the lack of a contract. The owners promised today they'll have one on the table by September 25th. But despite the promise, the strike idea is spreading, and the regular season's just 5 days away. Steve Young reports.
The chance of a late starting season or no season at all grew greater today in the labor scrimmage between the New England Patriot players and the team's management. Both players and management rejected compromise plans, and as a result, the players were locked out when they reported to their training camp at Foxborough, Massachusetts.
They have made no move to assure us that they will give us a meaningful collective bargaining agreement. So we said we still want to play and we still want to practice, but we can't do it under the terms of this. And then they told us that we could not use the stadium.
The Washington Redskin players voted to strike in sympathy with the Patriots and failed to turn out for an afternoon practice. And the New York Jets, by a wide margin, also voted to strike. While Miami and Minnesota voted not to strike, the cascade effect is continuing. The New York Giants, the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, and the Los Angeles Rams all are leaning in the direction of a strike.
Once the Patriots went on strike, most of the other players said if they're punished in any way, then we will come to their support. That's what's happened. They've been punished, they've been locked out, they've been docked a week's pay, and so now the other players are saying we're not going to let the New England Patriots suffer alone.
The 26 NFL owners huddled in New York today at league headquarters, which was barred to the press. They had reached no decision on strategy by late this afternoon, at least had made no announcement of a decision. Still unknown whether the Management Council will go along with a suggestion by some owners that all opening games be canceled if even one team is struck. nor can the Players Association say with certainty whether all its members would obey an order to strike the entire league. Steve Young, CBS News, New York.
Some 750 players who have voted, only 6 favored the owner's offer and the rest have rejected it. So clearly the overwhelming majority of players have rejected the owner's offer, and we're now going out to the players and asking them exactly what steps we should take in order to get a better offer on the table. We are hopeful that as the owners now understand that it is the full membership that rejects their position, that they will come forward and put a decent offer on the table and begin collective bargaining with us. In addition, at the same time, we're asking the owners to increase the squad size to the 47-man limit that it was last year in order to have a more interesting game for the fans and also to protect the players. Just about every coach in the league is now joined with us in calling for the owners to expand the squad size. So we're hopeful that if the owners could show some good faith by expanding the squad size, maybe we can get back to the bargaining table and have this matter resolved.
Any doubt in your mind that the game would not be played from your player standpoint? Because the Dolphins did say they were ready to play.
I think there had to be doubt when they took a vote and decided to delay the game. We told them we thought that as professional athletes, the consideration of the fans who are already in the stand who are coming, that they owed it to the fans to play the game on time as scheduled to the best of their ability.
We want to find out, first of all, if we want the owners, the management council to make a meaningful proposal. Second of all, we want to find out if the Players Association is willing to back us and if it really is a strong association. If nobody's willing to take any action, then maybe we should sign a no-strike authorization, or maybe we should sign the collective bargaining agreement that has been offered us. We haven't talked about that yet. The only thing is the team has said is that we feel that something has to be done to spur on negotiation.
We take the position that we're not going to budge an inch. There's absolutely no purpose in coming to this point and then giving up the control of professional football and submitting to the tactics that have brought about this situation.
In other words, the management council, you people, have made your final offer?
We haven't made our final offer. We've simply said to the Players Association that if they're willing to continue playing for 2 weeks, we'll have an offer in their hands that they can vote up or down. And that seemed to be all the Boston Patriots or the New England Patriots were asking when they went out last weekend. But now they put additional conditions on us. Right. The federal mediator took our 6 points and came back to us with the 2 the Players Association were asking, one of which would have meant that in order to keep the players in, we put $5 million into the pension fund now without an agreement. And unfortunately, the word was spread that meant that the federal mediator was submitting those 8 points to us. He was not. He was simply putting our 6 and their 2 together without the agreement of either side.
Negotiations then are continuing on a minute-to-minute basis then, right?
Oh,
as you stand here even.
Oh, yes.
Is it true that the owners have called a special meeting for Monday in New York?
No, it is not true. I understand, however, that the federal mediator has called for a meeting between players and owners. I assume the committees, but I don't know.
Is that a result of what happened here this evening and what happened in New England?
That I don't know. I would assume that the mediator feels that the crunch is coming when there are pressures building up on both sides that would make it possible for him to effect an agreement.
We understand that, of course, the negotiations had broken off in the last week, but did you expect anything like this to happen? Did the New England announcement and then your players holding a closed meeting and asking all people to leave the locker room, did that come as a surprise to you?
Well, we have been considering this possibility since last spring, because the union leadership has mentioned that they did not foresee an overall strike, but they did think that there might be some, quote, job actions. And we felt that the logical time for someone to exert that type of pressure would be at the end of the preseason period. So we were prepared for such an eventuality, and we had all last week prepared for reactions to various possibilities, and this was one of them.
Looking ahead, do you personally feel this is going to have any effect on the opening of the season, the scheduled opening of the season a week from now, your game in Philadelphia?
I don't think it will, but the possibility can't be ruled out, and as I told our players tonight, by not going on the field tonight, they would jeopardize the season.
New York Giants, who today became the 5th team to go on strike, may be the first to reach a settlement. A delegation of 12 players met late this afternoon with the NFL Management Council to explore ways of ending the impasse. The meeting was private, but players said they now were more optimistic about playing Sunday.
Both sides came away a little more enlightened on how we felt on the issues. I don't think that we really knew their viewpoints, and I didn't think they really knew ours. And we conveyed to them, us as the New York Giants, and how we felt. And I think that both sides, you know, I know that I think as we came out as players, that we felt that things are working out a little bit better now.
But let me just say this: we want to play, and we're going to prepare ourselves to play. And if that means going out on our own, we will. So we are optimistic that we're going to play this Sunday.
Giants owner Wellington Mara said he was happy about the meeting and confident opening day will come off as scheduled.
I think we'll all be playing on Sunday. I don't believe in public relations ploys at a time like this.
Don Cladstrup, CBS News, New York.
Fortunate aspect. I think the word has been spread to some of these teams that the schedule won't go on Sunday because of the number that are striking now. That's absolutely not so. We're playing Oakland here next Monday night unless one or the other of these two teams are on strike. And this schedule is going ahead with the teams that are not on strike, regardless of how many are on strike.
What happens to those teams that are on strike? Is it an automatic loss?
Yeah, they're forfeiting the game by not showing.
Well, so the other team gets the victory then?
Certainly. And for that reason, I don't think either Miami or Oakland are going to strike. But this is a day and night situation right now, because we want to play football. We think that the fans are being imposed upon. We have
sold out your game?
We've offered the players a temporary truce for 2 weeks while we take the initiative ourselves to put an offer in their hands. And the rule of reason would indicate they should accept that. Our game is not sold out for next Monday night, but I'm sure it will be by game time.
You think it's 72 hours prior?
I'm not at all sure of that. It very well could be, except the damage that's being done to professional football by what's going on right now is difficult to assess. We're suffering the real damage from last summer's strike this summer because people have been turned off on preseason games. And whether anybody's going to buy tickets with the possibility next Monday night's game is not going to be shown is what is difficult for us to evaluate.
Incumbent on all of us to try and get the matter settled so that everyone is ready to play on Sunday. Well, I wouldn't expect very many to be playing football if some of the teams are locked out or not allowed to play, but I expect there to be some movement, and I expect to see the mediator come up with some way in which to solve the problem. But if, in fact, some players are not allowed to play, I would think that all of the other teams would come to their support, and I am sure that we would have a meeting sometime tomorrow or the next day to make that decision.
I think it was economic compulsion. The closer we got to Sunday, the nearer the players came to losing a game check, which is 1/14 of their annual contractual salary. I think that whenever both sides start losing money, there's a better chance of settling a strike. But I've never failed to be optimistic that this season was going to start on time, because there's too much at stake for everybody involved. And there has to be respect for the American football fans who are tired of seeing us in court and in Congress and in collective bargaining negotiations and in strikes. They want to see us in the football field.
There still is the possibility, however, hanging that should they not accept on Monday after another vote, that we could be right back where we are today, a week from now.
Well, there isn't any question that if the players would reject the offer that the owners are going to make on Monday, that we're right back where we were, and I suppose there'll be more head-knocking all-night sessions.
We're just happy that right now, hopefully, everybody can go back to work.
You think this is the end of it, though? You won't have to have another strike?
Oh, Monday we'll meet and we're to receive a good faith offer, and that's what we're looking forward to.
The damage that's being done to professional football by what's going on right now is difficult to assess. We're suffering the real damage from last summer's strike this summer because people have been turned off on preseason games. And I'm mighty proud of everybody associated with the Miami Dolphins for the way our players reacted last Saturday night and for the vote of confidence they have given us. They're real responsible people, and they've shown that the faith we put in them has been well worth it.
NFL player representative Ed Garvey arrived in Boston this morning with federal negotiator William Usry. They brought with them a proposal hammered out last night in New York.
Well, we're just pleased that we have an interim agreement. Of course, we want to bring it to the New England Patriots since they started all of this.
You think there'll be football this Saturday?
I certainly hope so. We're looking forward to it.
Neither the players nor negotiators revealed the details of the interim agreement, but it's reported to contain an offer from management for a new contract to be presented next Monday and the promise of no reprisals against striking players. Randy Fataha, spokesman for the Strikers, called the team into a 5-hour closed-door session, after which it was announced that the team has agreed to a no-strike agreement through September 30th, based on the assurance that meaningful negotiations will take place Monday. So, with the Patriots agreeing to play on Sunday and with the 4 other striking teams, the New York Giants, the Jets, the Washington Redskins, and the Detroit Lions already back on the practice field, the NFL will have a full schedule this weekend. Mike Lee, CBS News, Foxborough, Massachusetts.
I'm confident that a modification will be suggested as part of our proposal.
Are there any other modifications that perhaps Mr. Garvey is hoping that you will come up with?
We're going to deal in the proposal with every aspect of the bargaining, with the procedures for grievances that the players file, the pension, the insurance benefits, and every other part of the collective bargaining agreement. And some of these things will indicate what progress has been made in the past negotiations.
Is there any suggestion about perhaps increasing the player limit? Is that going to be a strong point? Is there going to be a change perhaps in your proposal in that respect?
I can't answer that question because I don't want to conjecture what's going to be in the proposal that the owners make on Monday. Mm-hmm. That's being drafted right now, and I'm going to fly back to New York and involve myself in what these provisions are. All 6 members of our negotiating committee are going to do that.
We're quite optimistic about the outcome. We believe that the proposal is a very attractive one, particularly economically. We don't see how the players could turn it down, as a matter of fact.
Well, Sarge, one of Garvey's and Kermit's complaints about the package is the non-economic issues. They said they made some counter-proposals and that they got a no for an answer.
The counter-proposals they made were the same counter-proposals that they've been making for 18 months. They've asked us to put in the bargaining agreement a statement that the parties agree that the Rozelle Rule issue will be determined by an antitrust court. And we've said to them that we don't believe that it's an antitrust issue. We believe it is a collective bargaining issue.
Our feeling was that if we could not reach agreement on a contract, at least we could agree on some procedure for settling this dispute, so that we offered to submit it to binding arbitration. That was rejected. We offered to submit it to impartial fact-finding by those who would be selected by the American Arbitration Association, and that was rejected. We finally actually also offered to allow Commissioner Rozelle to make recommendations that both sides would then consider, and that was rejected. In other words, we found ourselves in a position where we could not reach agreement on the issues, they did not want to bargain, and they did not want to come up with a system for settling the dispute.